Sonic the Hedgehog was always a console mascot. Nobody really associates him with arcade hits like Pac-Man or Street Fighter. The whole marketing behind Sonic was that it was an experience you could only get for Sega's home console, the Genesis, or Mega Drive, depending where you're from. However, Sega happened to be an arcade giant of the 80s and 90s to today. Sega owned numerous arcades across the globe, including a full indoor amusement park in Sydney, Australia. At one point or another, we were going to see Sonic the Hedgehog grace the local arcades. The first arcade game in the series came not long after the release of the original Sega Genesis game. Waku Waku Sonic Patrol Car is a kiddie ride style arcade game that makes use of a giant police car that can fit 2 grown adults. The game is controlled by using the steering wheel, and a screen in the dashboard shows the gameplay. The player has to help Officer Sonic patrol the city, and of course stop the evil Dr. Robotnik. It's the first Sonic the Hedgehog game to feature voice acting, with Takeshi Kusao playing Sonic and Masaharu Sato as Dr. Eggman. Kusao is famous for his role as Trunks in the Dragon Ball franchise, while Sato is the current voice of Master Roshi, also in the Dragon Ball franchise. These actors would reprise their roles for later Sonic arcade games. SegaSonic Bros was an unreleased prototype that was location tested in Japan in 1992 before being scrapped and long forgotten about. The game was largely unknown until the 2010s when a prototype board was found by a private collector. The ROM was dumped in late 2018, proving that nearly 30 years later, the community is still finding lost treasure. The game is an amusing puzzle game similar to Columns, and features red and yellow versions of Sonic. While there's no official confirmation, it can be assumed that these are the titular brothers. While all the arcade games are relatively obscure, SegaSonic the Hedgehog is one of the more well-known arcade titles. It received a wide release in Japan, but was only released in limited numbers in foreign markets. It was originally meant to be localized in English, complete with sprites replacing the Japanese Dr. Eggman with the Dr. Robotnik from the Saturday morning cartoon. SegaSonic is a cooperative game that's less about platforming and more about avoiding and clearing obstacles. The game uses a trackball to control the character, so it can be difficult to emulate, which is why the game hasn't seen a re-release. This is also the first appearance of Mighty the Armadillo and Ray the Flying Squirrel. Mighty would later appear in Knuckles Chaotix in 1995, while Ray wouldn't be seen again until 2018's Sonic Mania Plus. At this point, I should probably stop to point out that many of these arcade titles are SegaSonic instead of just Sonic. This is due to the arcade game Sonic Blast Man by Taito. To avoid confusion, Sega opted to brand any Sonic arcade materials as SegaSonic, including games and claw machine prizes. This is one of the more confusing machines, which everyone likely knows about now thanks to its cameo in Sonic Mania. The SegaSonic Popcorn Shop wasn't an arcade game so much as it was a vending machine that offers a small minigame for children as their popcorn was being prepared. The Popcorn Shop offered a selection of salt, butter, or curry-flavored popcorn. In 2007, a fan visiting Japan sent the website UK Resistance an email documenting their experience with the SegaSonic Popcorn Shop machine found in the wild. They described the popcorn as being dry and disappointing, adding that they tried the butter flavor rather than the more adventurous curry. The second Sonic-themed kiddie ride, SegaSonic Cosmo Fighter Galaxy Patrol, is a virtual space shooter. Bullet hell wouldn't be what I would describe Cosmo Fighter as, but it's clearly a shmup designed for younger players. The one high point of this game is its beautiful pixel art design, and while like the Waku Waku police car it's not really a game, it's still a fun, cute experience. The gameplay is obviously secondary to the ride, as the game mostly plays itself. The game will play through without the player doing a thing, but you can rack up a score by shooting all the enemies. The results screen at the end of the game tells you how you did and encourages you to play again. Sonic the Fighters, also known as Sonic Championship, is a 3D fighter released to arcades in 1996. The story goes that an unnamed developer put Sonic and Tails into the game Fighting Vipers. Yu Suzuki liked it so much that he pitched the idea to Sega as its own game. The first true 3D Sonic game, beating Sonic R by a year, and was meant to be a more family-friendly version of AM2's fighting games such as Virtua Fighter. The game's story followed Sonic and friends as they compete against each other for the single seat available on Tails' rocket, with which the winner will take to Dr. Robotnik's new Death Egg in order to stop his plan and be the hero. It was meant to be released on the Sega Saturn, but this port was cancelled for unknown reasons. It would remain a hidden arcade gem until 2005 when it was released as part of Sonic Gems collection. It was then released again in 2012 for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, possibly as a tie-in with the movie Wreck-It Ralph, which features a Sonic Championship arcade cabinet. The 2012 re-release is significant as it includes a secret playable character that was left unfinished in the original. Honey the Cat can be used by highlighting Amy and pressing Start on the character select screen. Sonic the Fighters may have gotten a boost in popularity with its re-releases and appearance in Wreck-It Ralph, but for the most part, Sonic's arcade history remains deeply obscure. While we focused mainly on the arcade games, there's also prize redemption games, claw catchers, and pachinko slot machines that haven't been extensively documented. Sega arcades are fairly common in Japan, so to Japanese gamers, seeing Sonic at the arcade is like seeing Pac-Man or Street Fighter. We might find novelty or curiosity in these titles, but to the Japanese audience, they're common. Nobody's really traveling to every arcade to track down anything with Sonic on it in Japan, and if they are, the language barrier is keeping English-speaking fans from finding out. We mostly rely on private collectors and tourists to find out the obscure information, but that's part of the fun of it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified of future videos. If you really like us, subscribe to our Patreon to catch all our future videos first. Peace out.